This podcast discusses true crime, which may entail violence and other material intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised. It's Kayla.
And it's Lexi.
And we are recording as our first YouTube together. So we're going to see how this goes.
This has been, a year in progress of us trying to get on YouTube with the recording together.
Like, I've posted a couple by myself, but, they're just, it's not the same as having somebody, with you.
Same with when I try and make my, mini TikToks. I'm like, this just isn't it. Is it informative? Yes. Do you get the back and forth banter that I think makes a little wicked what it is? Nope.
No, it's not the same.
Unfortunately.
Alrighty, so let's get into today. Let me find it. Alrighty, so today we're going to talk about Dorothy Arnold.
I'm not familiar with this case.
It's a pretty old case.
Okay.
So Dorothy Harriet Camille Arnold was born the second of 4 children on July 1st, 1885, in Manhattan to an affluent family. Her father was Francis R. Arnold, a senior partner of F. R. Arnold and Company, a perfume importing company. So she was considered well off and an heiress.
Okay.
So her other siblings were older brother John and younger siblings Dan and Marjorie. As a girl, she was sent to be educated at Velton School for Girls in New York City and then attended Bryn Mawr College in Pennsylvania, majoring in literature and language. So I had to retype that a couple times because I kept putting PA, and I'm like, people aren't going to know what if I just say PA.
I forget that people from Pennsylvania, we just call it PA. We don't bother saying Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I'm like, if somebody in other countries listening to this, they're not going to know what PA is. So,
in Pennsylvania is the first line of a haiku. There's so many syllables in it.
So she graduated college in 1905 and went to live at home to pursue a writing career. In spring of 1910, she submitted a short story to the McClure magazine, but it was rejected. Her friends and family, who thought her aspirations were silly, made fun of her for being rejected, which, that's not cool.
What the heck?
You need new friends and new family.
Always been the way that it is. Apparently when Lady Gaga was in, I want to say either high school or college, a bunch of people, a bunch of her classmates made a group that was Stephanie Germanotta, you will never be famous.
I think I've heard of that before.
Can you imagine telling Lady Gaga that she was never going to be famous? I hope they're embarrassed.
Probably changed their names by now.
Right. They were, whoops.
Did not see that coming.
The risk I took was calculated, but boy, am I bad at math.
But yeah, so this girl needs new friends and new family because,
truly,
just making fun of her. She had then asked her father for an apartment in the Greenwich Village, but he responded that she's not allowed to move out of the house and that a good writer can write anywhere. Mind you, she's 25 years old at this point, and he's forbidding her from moving out of the house.
Ew, that's weird.
It's very weird. I don't know if it's, because it's, the early 1900s, that's what they did until, you got married.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I wasn't there back then.
We don't have a time machine for the podcast yet.
Not yet. It's next. We just got the YouTube. She continued to pursue writing at home, but with no success. On the morning of December 12th, 1910, she told her mother that she was going to go dress shopping for Marjorie's debutante party that was coming up. And that just sounds fancy. I don't know what a debutante party is.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to tell me. I'm like, what's a debutante party?
No, I don't know.
I would Google that. But I don't have any clue how to spell that.
I don't know. It's probably just a fancy coming of age party. I don't know.
it's like a French quinceañera.
Alrighty, let's see. Where was I? Her mother insisted that she go with her, but Dorothy rejected, saying she'll just call the house if she finds a suitable dress. So she left around 11:30, 12 o'clock noon that day with around $30 in her pocket. And that $30 equal today is $930. Just a fun fact. Doesn't that hurt?
Wow. I knew that $30 was going to be a hot stack of cash, but I wasn't expecting that hot of a stack of cash.
Yeah, it kind of made me sick a little bit when
I ran into someone the other day that just had that on them. that they were just like something, I can't remember. It was something that was $1,000. Like, oh, I have that on me, and they just pulled it out in cash, and I was like, what? Who does that anymore?
What? Like, let me just bring out my $1,000. Like, okay, so somebody did that at work one day. It was like these people who came in to hospitalize their dog. She's like, "Oh, I have the cash for the down payment." Mind you, a down payment where I work is at least $3,000. She just whipped
The
it out of her
cash.
purse.
Like, it's not shocking to me that someone had that money liquidatable on hand. It was shocking to me that it was in cash. Like, I
Yeah.
one time took out like $300 to give some money to my roommate for like a piece of furniture or something that we all pitched in on, and I got pickpocketed. And like losing that $300 in cash was devastating. I can't imagine having 3,000 on me.
Right? Like they were kind of bougie. Like, I'm not gonna lie, but they love their dog. They did whatever they're for the dog. So I was like, whatever.
Good
I
for
was just
them.
shocked.
Maybe they had come back from a debutante party.
Probably. Or like the pinata is just full of cash.
That's probably what it's like to be like a Kardashian child.
Probably. She walked from her house on 79th Street to the park and Tilford store at the corner of 5th Avenue and 59th Street, where she bought half a pound of chocolate. And then she walked 22 blocks, which is about 1.4 miles south to Brentano's bookstore, where she bought a book called Engaged Girl Sketches, a collection of humorous essays written by Emily Calvin Blake. That's a long walk.
Yeah.
That's a very long walk. So while leaving the store, she ran into her friend Gladys King. They discussed Marjorie's party that was coming up and how they were both dress shopping. Before departing, Dorothy said she was going to go through Central Park before making her way home. So there weren't really any reports of her going into a dress shop, but by early evening, she did not return home, which was unusual for her. She never missed a meal with her family without calling first, so the family immediately was worried about her. However, they did not call the police to report her missing.
That's a bit bizarre. Like I guess they weren't that worried.
Yeah, I'll get into it. They called all her friends to see if anyone had seen her or knew where she would be, and no one knew anything. A little after midnight that night, Dorothy's friend Elsie Henry, called the house to see if she showed up. Mary, Dorothy's mother, picked up the phone, and instead of telling her that she was still missing, she told Elsie that Dorothy had eventually showed up. But when she asked to speak with her, Mary told Elsie that Dorothy had a headache and had gone to bed for the night.
Hmm.
So a little strange.
It is a little suspicious, but that was like a friend of hers that said that.
Yeah, her friend asked, like, can I speak to her? And her mom's like, no, she's in bed,
Weird.
even though she's not really home. So it's not fully known why she lied to Elsie, but some speculate that it was because the family did not want media attention on the matter. It was speculated that an incident in 1909 influenced them to keep quiet, and the incident was that a 13-year-old girl named Adele Boas disappeared from Central Park and was eventually found to have run away and then came back. The family, who was also an upper-class affluent family, had been shamed and scandalized, and the Arnold family wanted to avoid a similar fate. So it was all about saving face, basically.
Okay.
They're like, maybe she just ran off. Like, it's not usual for her to not come home, but maybe she'll come back, and we don't want to like cause a big deal about it.
Okay.
So the following morning, they contacted family friend John S. Keith, who was also a lawyer and private investigator, to try and find Dorothy. He came over and searched her bedroom and saw that none of her clothes seemed to be missing. And he also found personal letters with foreign postmarks on her desk, 2 folders for transatlantic ocean liners, and burned papers in the fireplace that were presumed to be the failed short stories that were sent to McClure's magazine. Keith had gone on to visit jails, hospitals, morgues, and everywhere else that she would have usually gone and found no sign of her. He checked throughout New York City, Philadelphia, and Boston. After a while, he suggested that the family hire the Pinkerton detectives to see if they could find any trace of her. The Pinkerton detectives searched hospitals and places she went to, but still found nothing. They had started to think she eloped with a man to Europe due to the ocean liner papers on her desk. They also kind of speculated that because she bought half a pound of chocolate and a book, they were like, well, maybe she was getting ready for a trip, so they also investigated all the train lines in the area to see, like, maybe she took the chocolate and a book to ride on a train for a couple hours to meet with a man
Mm-hmm.
and elope. So this led them to search marriage records for any woman named Arnold, but they came up empty-handed. Agents were then sent overseas to search ocean liners, but still found nothing. After all of this, with no closer to finding Dorothy, the Pinkertons and Keith told the Arnold family that the next step would be the NYPD. They refused at first, but then they gave in. The police advised that the family hold a press conference to get more publicity. They once again resisted, but then agreed. On January 25th, 1911, a press conference was held where Francis offered $1,000 reward for any information leading to find his daughter. And fun fact, $1,000 is about 30 grand.
Oh boy. So I'm really suspicious about this whole thing already. So her parents are the ones that are pushing this effort to find her, but they were also the ones that lied and said she was home when she wasn't?
Yeah,
Okay, okay. Don't like that.
it's a little strange. Just a little bit. So the reporters asked if she could have run off with a man, but Frances denied this. She did not date much, and he said, quote, I would have been glad to see her associate with more young men than she did, especially some young men with brains in position. One whose profession or business would keep him occupied. I don't approve of young men who have nothing to do, end quote. So basically, I wanted her to date, but like actual men that I approve of.
Did they traffic her to some wealthy guy?
Not, well, this case is unsolved. Like, not to be a spoiler, but like it's unsolved, so who knows?
Okay.
The reporters would find out that he was alluding to a man that Dorothy had been seeing named George Grisham Jr. She met him in college, and the two were romantically involved. However, her parents did not approve of him. He was a 42-year-old engineer who lived with his parents and did whatever they did. So he didn't really work. He didn't do much. He just kind of slugged around and hung out with his parents, lived with his parents. He came from a wealthy family and lived with them at the Kenmore Hotel in Pittsburgh, PA. It was also discovered that in September of 1910, Dorothy had lied to her parents, saying that she was staying with a friend named Theodora in Boston, but it was soon discovered that she instead spent a week in a hotel with Grissom.
Huh.
I mean, she's 25. Like, I feel like
she should kind of be allowed to do that.
do whatever she wants. Like, I think at that age, like, even though it's the 1900s, I kind of get it, but like, she's 25 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
She was forbidden. Oh, parents found out after she pawned $500 worth of jewelry to pay for their escapade. She was then forbidden to see him, but still talked to him despite her parents' wishes. Then they saw each other in November before he left for an Italian vacation with his parents. So after her disappearance, he was found to be in Florence, Italy. The Arnolds sent a telegram saying she was gone and asking him if he knew anything about where she might be. He said he didn't know anything, and in January, her brother John went to Italy to interrogate Grisham, who was still maintained that he knew nothing. John demanded that Grisham give him any letters that were between he and Dorothy. So John claimed that there was nothing useful in them, so he destroyed them, and I found this a little weird because, like, wouldn't you want to prove that there's nothing in them? Like, I feel like it could go one of two ways, where like he really found nothing in them, so he just destroyed them, or there was something in them that he didn't want to get out.
Yeah.
So
that
he destroyed
seems
them so
more
nobody else could see.
likely. Like, I feel like if there's nothing in them, why not just pitch them?
Yeah. He just destroyed them. So Grissom came back to the U.S. in February and said he intended to marry Dorothy when she returns if he has Mary's permission, which he did not. In the same month, the San Francisco Chronicle reported that hotel staff where Grissom was staying saw a veiled woman that was believed to be Arnold. So according to the staff, the two talked and she seemed agitated, but nothing more came of this. They never really said if it was like Dorothy or not. I'm speculating that it really wasn't because nothing really came of it. In the following months, he had spent thousands of dollars on ads asking her to come home. At the end of January 1911, the NYPD had considered the case closed, believing she left of her own accord, being that they can't find anything and she was an adult who could do what she wanted. The family believed her to be dead.
I mean, like on the one hand, like yes, that is an adult who can do what she wanted, but if none of her friends, family, etc. are hearing from her, that doesn't sound like an adult just doing what she
I
wants.
know. They're kind of like banking on like the idea that she eloped, that
Yeah.
she like ran away somewhere. Francis believed that she was mugged in Central Park and thrown into Central Park Reservoir. He cited two clues that he had, like as his defense, but he didn't disclose what they were. So he's like, "I have this evidence, but I'm not telling you what it is," which
Hell.
again is kind of weird.
Is there a single person in this case that isn't acting suspicious?
Not really. No, it's nothing but suspicion.
Great.
So, days following the announcement of her disappearance, her photo and information was spread across the US, Canada, and Mexico, and the New York Times covered her story daily. The NYPD got calls daily about supposed sightings, but they never panned out to be her. The family even got two ransom notes written to them about sending money for her return that also turned out to be hoaxes. Which, that just makes you the worst kind of person. Like, taking advantage of a family who lost somebody.
Yeah.
In February, the family got a postcard signed from Dorothy saying, quote, "I'm safe." But they believed it to be fake as well. So they said the handwriting was like hers, but it could have been copied from the handwriting samples that they put in the newspaper from her writings. The NYPD officially stopped the investigation, believing her to be dead. So theories have started to erupt from this case about what people think had happened to her. So one theory is that she slipped on ice and got a case of amnesia, but this doesn't really hold up as there was no record of a woman looking like her going to a hospital for a head injury. Plus, I feel like that's kind of far-fetched.
Yeah.
She was also thought to be drugged and kidnapped from the park, but some considered it unlikely due to being missing on a busy street in broad daylight. But, I mean, that's can still happen. Like, you see it all the time. Like, people do see it, but they assume somebody else to do something about it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I forget what that's called, like bystander
Oh,
something.
bystander effect. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
bystander
Bystander
effect.
effect.
Grissom theorized that she had committed suicide, referring to a letter she wrote him that alluded to suicidal thoughts after her second rejection. It went, quote, "Well, the story has come back. McClure's has turned me down. Failure stares me in the face. All I can see ahead is a long road with no turning. Mother will always think an accident had happened," end quote.
Yeah, that last line, "Mother will think an accident has happened." That is seemingly, that's very suspicious of a possible suicide.
Yeah, that's like before that it was like, okay, she's just kind of depressed, but now it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Could be.
Yeah.
So
It seems like
friends
she
and
just really wants to be a writer. She really wants to do this thing. She can't quite get it. Everyone, no one is like on her side. Like no one is on her
yeah.
team. Everyone's making fun of her, and her parents are like, "You can't leave the house, but we really want you to start dating people that we approve of." And it sounds like the one person she wanted, they didn't approve of.
Yeah, so it could not have been easy being in her shoes. Like some people probably thought she's an heiress, she has the world at her fingertips, but like she doesn't have support. She's struggling with her career. She can't have who she wants. So you never know what's going on in somebody's mind.
Yeah.
Friends and family thought suicide as well due to her basically failing relationship with Grissom because it was forbidden. So a more widespread rumor came out that she had become pregnant and wanted to terminate the pregnancy, but had died during the procedure and was buried or cremated.
I get it because when women were pregnant out of wedlock in that time, they would just sort of like disappear for a while.
Yeah. They would like go on a trip for a couple months to either have the baby or terminate the baby.
Yeah.
In April 1916, an illegal abortion clinic was raided by police that was ran out of a basement in Bellevue, PA, Pennsylvania. It was ran by Dr. C.C. Meredith and was known as the House of Mystery due to the amount of women who would go missing from there after dying from the procedure. I can see being desperate, but I don't know if I'd be so desperate as to go to a place called House of Mystery because I might die. I don't know
Yeah,
if
that's
the risk
I mean, I
is
know that
worth it.
I know that basically back alley, for lack of a better term, back alley abortions were considerably more dangerous than like a safe and legal procedure nowadays. But I don't know if that kind of thing is like common even for that. Like, was it common for women to seek those abortions and then just go missing all the time, or was that place specifically just like really bad at it and very much an anomaly?
Yeah, no idea. Like they could have, like it might have been worse if it was
Mm-hmm.
known as like House of Mystery.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Like if it
you
had a
see,
very specific reputation for that. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's like you see women going in that house and like they just don't come out.
Yeah.
Dr. H.E. Lutz testified that Dr. Meredith told him that Dorothy died there and was burned in the furnace with the other women who ended up dying there. Are you struggling with your dog right
I
now?
am struggling with my dog right now. I apologize if you guys can hear Shiba Inu noises in the background. My dog is very desperate for
Uh,
playtime with her little Saturn toy.
all I hear is like growling and you're like slowly moving away.
It's okay. She's only like 20 pounds. I will be fine.
So the DA believed it, but her father did not, and he called it a ridiculous story. 2 months later, John Keith got a tip from an attorney in Pittsburgh that Dorothy was in a sanatorium, but it turned out to not be her. In April of 1916, a felon named Edward Glenoris, who was jailed for extortion, told the warden that he was paid $250 to bury a woman's body in December of 1910. His acquaintance named Little Louie hired him to drive a woman from a home in New Rochelle to West Point, New York. And at the New Rochelle house, he and Louie met a man who went by Doc and another man who fit the description of Grissom. Doesn't say if it was Grissom, but it says like alluded to it looking like him.
Okay.
So they loaded an unconscious woman in the car and took her to a house in Weehawken, New Jersey. He said he was told it was Dorothy Arnold. He was even able to identify a ring on her finger that she owned. She ended up dying during some operation, so he buried her in a cellar in New Rochelle. When he was approached for an interview by officials, he denied saying any of this.
What is going on? Like, why are all of these people like, yeah, yep, we killed her and disposed of her body. And then just like, yeah, no, we didn't.
And yeah, like this case could go one of roughly 100 million ways.
Yeah.
So they looked at a few cellars in New Rochelle but found nothing. For years, there would be alleged sightings of her that would turn out to not be her, and the family continued to get letters signed with her name. Her father spent $250,000 trying to find her and maintained that she was kidnapped and killed. He died April 6, 1922. Mary was more hopeful that she was alive, and she died December 29th, 1928, and her case is still unsolved to this day.
Oh, wow.
And that is the case of Dorothy Arnold.
It sounds like, I mean, truly, this is one of those cases where it sounds like anything could have happened to her.
Mm-hmm. Like, we have anything from, like, dying in a house of mystery to, for some reason, she was unconscious with possibly Grissom, to
Yeah.
she eloped with a man to Europe.
To
It,
potential suicide, like, I mean, anything.
yeah, there's not really... And, like, the thing is, there's not really any clues as to what happened to her. Like, there's no paper trail besides, like, going to those two stores.
Mm-hmm.
There's no witnesses except that one girl who saw her in passing.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing.
Her parents who were like, yeah, she's home. But then they were like, oh, shoot, she's not. Now we have to launch thousands upon thousands of dollars into these efforts to recover her. Like, that's just odd. You know, like, I feel like if they did it or if they were responsible, why would they go so hard into finding her?
I don't think they were responsible, but I do think they knew something that they weren't willing to discuss.
Mm-hmm. It seems likely. I mean, between the burned papers and then pretending she was home when she wasn't, like, something is going on.
Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, maybe they didn't fully know what happened to her, but I feel like they saw something in a letter, or, like, especially since her brother destroyed those letters, I feel like somebody knew something, but they weren't discussing it out of fear of ruining their reputation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let me know what you guys think. You guys can leave comments, or you can send us an email at alittlewickedpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on any of our socials, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We're under A Little Wicked. Find us on our Patreon. You can go to our link tree in any of our bios and click the Patreon. It's $4 a month. You get ad-free episodes and you get bonus episodes once a month. Yeah.
That's right.
And now we're on YouTube, so you can look at us too.
And now we're on YouTube because I learned recently that there's some people who prefer to like watch their podcasts over listening.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was a thing. And that makes sense as to why some of the most popular podcasts are both like video and audio podcasts. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it either. My mom's one of those people. She likes to watch podcasts on YouTube. And I asked on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and people were like, "Yeah, we like watching our podcast." So
yeah, my fiance is one of those people too. She's like, "I wish you guys were YouTube, and then I could watch or on YouTube, and then I could watch you." Thanks, Luna. And I was like, I didn't know that was like a thing because like I've never watched my podcasts ever. Like I've the only time I've watched them on YouTube is when it's just an audio recording with just sort of like ambient stuff, and I just have it on as background noise. Like Mr. Creepypasta is my best example of that. Like I would listen to it, but it would just be like a still image or like, you know, footage of someone walking through trees, like on a loop or something like that. I did not know that there were people who were like really into watching their podcasts. So hopefully we break into a new market.
Hopefully
Welcome.
This takes off a little bit. Welcome to the show.
I got to make a little studio here because I'm in a basement. I'm literally recording from a basement. We've seen ghosts in my camera before. Like, I got to get a backdrop. I got to get a tapestry or something.
It looks like one of those like ransom videos that somebody sends their family.
It's going to be like a little wicked conspiracies. Like, where is Lexi? I'm in my own basement. It's just...
I considered using my plant room. I just have to like set it up.
Yeah.
I'm eventually going to move my whole setup into there after I get rid of a bunch of things because my plant room is kind of a kerfluffled mess.
I actually have like a ton of space back there. You can't see it. That's where the ghost was that one time we were recording and there was a ghost. But like I have a ton of space that I could turn into a cute little recording studio. I literally just need like furniture and decorations that I am not willing to spend money on right now. Gotta go raid a thrift shop for some string lights or something.
Yeah, that's all you need. Like just hang up a tarp, you'll be fine.
It's all fun and games until like my cat decides to like walk across and people have to like look at my cat's butt and me like wrestling her to like get off my laptop because I think that happened the last time you and I were recording in Discord. Sorry.
Well, now since it's on YouTube, people can really look at your cat's butthole like a little OnlyFans.
Wonderful. Please enjoy my cat and her butt. I don't know what it is about cats. Like, why do they like need to show you? Like, why are cats like if this is your face, why are they like, hey, here it is, in case you haven't seen it. I don't.
It's my emotional support butthole. Look at it.
Right. Hey, you know what'll cheer you up? Like, no one has ever wanted to be 2 inches away from a cat's butthole. I don't know why every cat on the planet is convinced that that's the best thing in the world for people.
It just is. I have no idea.
I'm glad my dog doesn't do that.
My dog greets people with his butt. He like walks forward and then he walks sideways with his butt out and waggling it.
Willie's sort of put together with spare parts. It's fine. It's excusable.
Yeah.
It's okay. So's Luna. I don't know what happened. You know, we got her at age 3. I don't know what happened before then. I don't know if she looks fine. She's healthy. She doesn't know she's a Shiba. She's like weirdly affectionate and yells at her own tail. And I do mean yell. She doesn't bark. I just hear like ah, and I look over and she's just chasing her tail. I'm like, is that normal? This is my first Shiba. I don't know. Someone tell me if that's normal Shiba activities.
Well, then in a couple weeks, I'm going to have that puppy that Willie's going to be teaching all this nonsense to. And between the two of them, we'll have like half a brain cell.
Oh, I'm
ping
so
ponging
excited.
back and forth.
I'm so excited. I love this dog, but she has orange cat levels of intellect.
I get it.
Well, I hope you've all enjoyed this. Hopefully, as this grows, we will invest more on our both our backdrops and our video quality. I like my
Yeah.
HP webcam. I think it does a decent job, but like it's also a built-in webcam. One of these days, I will upgrade to a nice webcam.
Yeah. I have my webcam. I remember sometimes they could be hacked into, so I unplug it when I'm not using it.
I think I
So
have
that
like a
makes me anxious.
sticker. Like they sell like it's like $5 and you stick it on and you just boop you just like you just flip it, when you're not using it, you just flip it closed.
I like how people know they're like, yeah, like this happened, so instead of fixing it, here's a sticker.
I know. Sometimes, hey, I mean, that's the, I feel like the biosecurity solution or the biosecurity, cybersecurity solution is probably really expensive, but sticker is 3 cents.
That's
Sticker
fair.
is cheap. Ugga ugga.
Right. Well, and on Ugga Ugga, we will leave you guys. I think uh, that was mysteriously wicked.
I think that was suspiciously wicked.
That was suspiciously wicked.